Hey, how's it going? So, this shouldn't be too weird.
What culture? What culture? What culture? What
Hey, look at it over there.
What culture? What culture? What culture? What?
I don't know what that was. Who's ready for a little quest? I hope you are. Now, normally when we talk about questing, one of the first things that comes up is old King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table, out there questing after the Holy Grail.
Arthur, King of the Britons, your Knights of the Round Table shall have a task to make them an example in these dark times.
Good idea, O Lord.
Of course it's a good idea! Behold, Arthur, this is the Holy Grail. Look well, Arthur, for it is your sacred task to seek this Grail. That is your purpose, Arthur. The quest for the Holy Grail.
Now, by this point, you probably realize that stories like The Hobbit or The Fellowship of the Rings are drawn directly from this King Arthur storytelling tradition. A group of those with daring do go out and face personal sacrifice. They risk life and limb to complete some difficult task, or find some ancient relic, or even to rescue a cute princess.
Wake up!
What?
Are you Princess Fiona?
I am. Awaiting a knight so bold as to rescue me.
Oh, that's nice. Now let's go!
The quest speaks to us. And why? Well, probably because we recognize the symbolism of the quest. Forces of good versus forces of evil, a small group acting for the greater good, risk and potential self-sacrifice, and arching over it all, one magic word: purpose. Beyond the cup, or the ring, or the cute princess, we recognize and aspire to live a life of purpose. That is what the quest represents, a greater purpose beyond the mundane nature of our everyday lives. We feel life becoming a rut, endless, repetitive, menial tasks, and we want, well, most of us do anyway, we want a purpose which excites and validates our existence. We want to have purpose. C.S. Lewis was a close friend of Tolkien and greatly admired his work. Recognizing these same themes and his own internal response, he went on to create the Chronicles of Narnia, another epic fantasy novel series. It's an allegorical retelling of the gospel dressed up as a fantasy quest. Now clearly the Bible itself tells a heroic story, something more aligned with a Superman story. But allow me to make some observations. In the Bible, Jesus shares a story about a pearl of great price, and it goes a little something like this. It's over in Matthew chapter 13 if you want to follow along, starting in verse 45. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant seeking beautiful pearls, who, when he had found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Now, one way to understand this story is to see Jesus as the merchant. He gave his life in exchange for the pearl, which is his kingdom in this parable. Another way to understand it is to imagine you are the pearl collector. Now, you've spent your whole life building your collection and your reputation. Then one day you see this pearl that's so amazing, you decide to sell everything you own to buy it. Now think, you're going to put everything on the line. Your collection, your reputation, the time and money that went into building it. And there it is again. Risk, sacrifice, quest, purpose. This guy sold everything he owned, even his own identity, to gain that pearl. Now think about that. Think about how purpose can motivate even to the point of self-sacrifice. Martin Luther King said, "If a man has not discovered something that he will die for, he isn't fit to live." That's why the story of the quest always speaks to us. From the Bible to King Arthur to the Lord of the Rings, we are returning to the same story, the quest for purpose. We want purpose, and it's not just a religious thing. Stephen King is no televangelist, but he wrote a book called The Stand. Pretty interesting reading during a global pandemic. In the story, humanity is nearly wiped out by an escaped virus, and those who survive begin to feel drawn to gather together, some for good and others for evil. Finally, a small group from the good side have a showdown with the forces of evil on the bad side. Now, I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't read it or watched the TV movie. Suffice it to say, it's a quest story. But what about Star Wars? What about Indiana Jones? What about Shrek, I hear you ask? Yes, yes, and yes. They all fit the mold. All of them, and about a jillion others, are just retelling the quest story. It keeps on telling us the same message. If you don't have a purpose you'd be willing to die for, you've got nothing to live for. Why do you think there's so much anxiety and depression in our world today? It's lack of purpose. Maybe instead of trying to find ways to make yourself happy and more fulfilled, you can try to find your purpose, and it might just pull you out of that rut. So what are your favorite quest stories? Drop a comment below. Let us know. And now it's time for some gratuitous swordplay. Ha ha! Jab, parry, thrust. Oh, yeah. Now where'd that dragon get off to?